Ozzy Osbourne, the legendary Prince of Darkness, has left us. At the age of 76, he passed away peacefully, surrounded by those who loved him most, his family, his closest friends, and, in spirit, millions of fans around the world whose lives he touched with his music and his unforgettable personality. It's hard to put into words just how much Ozzy meant to people, to music, and to the cultural landscape of the last half-century. His life was a wild symphony of chaos, resilience, and pure, electrifying energy, a life lived with nothing held back. But today, as we look back, it's not just the headlines or the scandals or the outrageous stunts that we remember. It's the beating heart beneath the spectacle, the man who, despite it all, kept coming back to the music, to his family, and to his fans. The news broke early this morning. For many, it felt surreal. For some, it felt inevitable. Ozzy Osbourne was never supposed to die. He was the eternal rebel, the man who stared down death so many times that it almost seemed like he'd made some kind of secret pact to outlive us all. He famously joked, "I'm not afraid of death. I just don't want to be there when it happens." Yet, when the end finally came, it was peaceful, surrounded by love, and marked not by fear, but by gratitude for a life truly lived. Sharon Osbourne, his partner of more than 4 decades, shared a simple, beautiful message: Ozzy passed peacefully, with his family by his side. "We are grateful for every moment, every memory, every laugh." She described his last moments as full of love, humor, and the music that always lifted him. Those words, love, humor, music, say more about Ozzy than any scandal ever could. Kelly and Jack, his children, have been open about the emotional roller coaster of their father's final days. Kelly wrote, "To the world, he was the Prince of Darkness. To me, he was Dad. The man who made up silly songs, who hugged too tight, who told the same old stories until we knew them by heart." Her voice cracked as she continued, "There's no one else like him, and there never will be again." That's the thing about Ozzy, he was larger than life, but he was also so deeply, undeniably human. In the hours after his passing, tributes began pouring in. Fans gathered outside his home in Buckinghamshire, leaving candles, flowers, and handwritten notes. Across the world, landmarks were lit in purple and black. Social media exploded with memories, first concerts, favorite lyrics, tales of brief encounters that became cherished memories for a lifetime. Fellow musicians, from Metallica to Sir Paul McCartney, shared their own stories. Tony Iommi, his Black Sabbath bandmate and lifelong friend, posted simply, "There will never be another Ozzy. Thank you, my brother, for the ride of a lifetime." It's fitting that his final concert, held just a few weeks ago in Birmingham, was such a powerful, emotional farewell. On stage in his hometown, Ozzy gave everything he had left, his voice a little weaker, but his spirit undimmed. 45,000 people stood together in the rain, singing along to Paranoid, crying, laughing, holding up their lighters. It was a celebration, a goodbye, and a promise that the music will never fade. Ozzy's journey began in the working-class neighborhoods of Aston, Birmingham, where a young John Michael Osbourne grew up surrounded by hardship, but also by a love of music that would shape his destiny. He was never supposed to be famous, he was just the misfit kid who struggled in school, who lost jobs, who went to jail for petty crimes. But he found his tribe with Black Sabbath, and together, they changed the face of music forever. They invented heavy metal, a genre that was darker, louder, and more honest than anything that had come before. Through every stage of his career, Ozzy was a force of nature. His battles with addiction, his struggles with health, his public breakdowns, they all played out on the biggest stage possible. But he never hid. He never gave up. He turned his own demons into music that spoke to the pain and rebellion in all of us. Songs like Crazy Train and Mama, I'm Coming Home became anthems for anyone who ever felt lost or alone. And even in his darkest times, there was always a spark of humor, a glimmer of hope. He laughed at himself. He let us laugh, too. But it wasn't just the music. Ozzy's real magic was the way he connected with people. He was outrageous, unpredictable, and often totally ridiculous, but he was always, at his core, genuine. His relationship with Sharon was legendary. Their love survived addiction, infidelity, near-fatal accidents, and the pressures of fame. Together, they built a family and a business empire, weathered reality TV stardom, and kept each other going, no matter what the world threw at them. For his children, Ozzy was both hero and cautionary tale. Jack Osbourne once said, "Dad made mistakes so we wouldn't have to. He taught us to fight, to love, and to never give up on ourselves." That resilience is something Ozzy passed on, not just to his family, but to his fans. Over decades, his openness about his struggles inspired millions to face their own. In his later years, Ozzy faced enormous challenges. The diagnosis of Parkinson's, multiple surgeries, and the relentless press attention that came with it all would have been enough to break anyone else. But he kept showing up, for interviews, for shows, for his family. He said, "I'll retire when they put me in a box. Until then, I'm just getting started." Even as his health declined, the music never stopped. His final albums were a testament to his spirit, full of collaborations, surprises, and the same raw honesty that made him a legend in the first place. The day he died, Sharon described a sense of peace in their home. Ozzy's favorite records were playing. The room was filled with laughter, tears, and stories. He was there not as a superstar, but as a father, husband, and friend. He listened as his family told him they loved him. And then, as gently as a candle flickering out, he was gone. The world feels different today. Quieter, maybe. But there's also a kind of gratitude and awareness that we were lucky enough to witness a true original. In the hours since his passing, radio stations have played Black Sabbath on repeat. Fans are gathering in pubs, in parks, in living rooms all over the globe, raising glasses and singing at the top of their lungs. Because that's what Ozzy would have wanted. Not tears, but celebration. Not fear, but laughter. His story is a reminder that greatness doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from being real, from facing your demons, from daring to be yourself in a world that's always trying to make you into something else. Ozzy's life was messy and beautiful and loud. He gave everything he had, his voice, his heart, his madness. And he left us with a legacy that will echo forever. As we say goodbye, it's tempting to mythologize Ozzy Osbourne, to make him more legend than man. But maybe the greatest tribute we can pay him is to remember the full, messy, glorious truth. He was a father who worried about his kids, a husband who loved fiercely and imperfectly, a man who failed and tried again and again. He was scared sometimes. He made mistakes. But he kept moving forward, and he brought millions along for the ride. And as the sun sets tonight, somewhere out there, the opening notes of Dreamer are playing. The world is a little darker, but the music is still here. The laughter, the tears, the memories, they're ours to keep. Ozzy Osbourne is gone, but he's also everywhere, in the music, in the stories, in the people who will never forget what he gave us. So, thank you, Ozzy. Thank you for the madness and the magic, the joy and the chaos, the courage to be different. Rest easy, Prince of Darkness. You gave us your all, and will never let your light go out.